Right back. This is King B. Okay, everyone. Salute to everyone who's tuning in. If you're clicking on this video, now I just finished a video about Florida projected to be underwater. Neil deGrasse Tyson put out a post on his X profile showing a map of Florida underwater and most of the East Coast. Right? I just made a video about that, and I come across another article. First article was by Newsweek. This article is from The Mirror. Okay, The Mirror. And you see the title, Flood Map shows U.S. homes set to vanish underwater and 109 billion risk affecting 1 in every 50 Americans. Again, I just finished a video talking about this, but we're going to see what this article by The Mirror is talking about, what information is in this article. So this is going to be part 2 of the video that I just completed, that I just put out. Let's get into this. See, you understand, they're putting the information out there. Again, it's about digging into this information and knowing how to separate the weeds from the grass, right? In other words, knowing how to separate the truth from the lies, right? Because there's information and then there's disinformation as well, and you have to have discernment. You got to know the difference between the two. Okay, but let's get into this and see what information is in this article. All right, so here we go. An ominous map showing the U.S. cities most at risk of vanishing underwater has been issued, with 24 at risk due to sinking land and rising sea levels. Researchers from Virginia Tech have found 24 places are battling a combination of things which could see 1 in every 50 residents at risk. People along the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic seaboard have been told they're in a danger zone, as well as those along the Pacific coast who aren't facing flood risk, but instead a relatively modest rock coast cliff retreat. Miami is one of the locations which faces the highest risk, researchers have warned, with the south of Florida being told it could lose around 80,000 homes. This will cost an estimated $31 billion and risk the lives of well-being of 122,000 residents. The study found more than 500,000 people in 32 major cities could be affected by flooding, with the possible cost of $109 billion by the year 2050. And you got a picture here of a flood, and like I said, this is something that is happening now. Look at how this water is. That's the mailbox, and look, the water's right there. You got people dealing with this right now. What do you mean by the year 2050? If you pay attention, this is happening now. In some places, there's people who have lost their homes already or are losing their homes. Virginia Tech's geochemist Leonard Ohenhan said, "One of the challenges we have with communicating the issue of sea level rise and land subsidence broadly is it often seems like a long-term problem, something whose impacts will only manifest at the end of the century, which many people may not care about. What we've done here is focus the picture on the short term, just 26 years from now." See, because that's what they want people to believe. Oh, you're talking many years, thousands of years. You got nothing to worry about now. That's not true. That's not the complete truth. I'm telling you. You do the research. Tell that to the people who already lost their homes. There's people out there who have lost their homes. Tell them that. that, oh, you got nothing to worry about. It's thousands of years in the future. Meanwhile, they've lost their homes already. Okay? The scientists took three main sets of information for their analysis, which first measured the sinking of coastal urban land masses between 2007 and 2020. Then they used this data to develop a predicted sea level rise and added it to the true rate of sea level rise, which had been recorded by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. Lastly, authors of the new study used data from the 2010 U.S. Census to create baseline estimates of the total of people who would likely be impacted by the sea level rises and land sinking, as per Mail Online. Again, and they're showing the map of all these people who live along here. Got to pay attention to this, especially the Gulf of Mexico, and anyone on the coast. Have to pay attention to this and get informed. They found that along the Atlantic coast, as many as 263,000 people from 163,000 properties were at risk of being impacted across a 370 square mile space of landscape in Miami. The total financial impact of home values by 2050 ranged up to $64 billion for the 11 East Coast cities they examined. Cities including New Orleans in Louisiana, Galveston in Texas, and 9 others have also been told they face incredibly high risks, with around 225,000 at risk of death, displacement, or financial struggles from the hundreds of thousands of homes which could be affected. See, now this article is putting out more information. This article is saying that these cities have been warned already that they're in a danger zone. And there's another picture. Like I said, tell that to the people who have lost their homes. This is something that's happening. That's happening already, slowly, but it's happening. The team, which included a Brown University scientist and some of the top minds from India and the UK, mainly focused on the damage to homes and economic risks. In the paper, they say the calculated exposure does not account for the value of critical infrastructure, such as airports, schools, hospitals, power plants, roads, and railways, as well as economic hubs and landmarks. The 10 U.S. Pacific Coast cities examined by the new study face significantly less risk than their Atlantic and Gulf counterparts, and were told that by 2050 there would only be around 16 square miles which faced serious risks. Under 30,000 people and 15,000 home properties are included in that warning. So see, now this is when you have to, this is when doing your research and looking into this thoroughly will serve you well and serve you justice, because they're downplaying the danger of the Pacific Coast, right? Because you gotta with the earthquakes they've been deceived. The Pacific Coast have been getting hit by a lot of earthquakes, right? A lot of earthquakes, active. The San Andreas Fault that connects all the way up the coast, and also connects to the Yellowstone supervolcano. Okay, like I said, it's all about getting informed. A good channel to watch is what's the channel? Emergency Management Associates with Ron Tyler on YouTube. With Ron, does a good job of putting that information out, talking about those earthquakes, putting the truth out about what's going on with the earthquakes. Okay, so that's a good channel to check out. Emergency Management Association with Ron Tyler. Check his channel out. Give good information about the earthquakes. Out west been getting hit with earthquakes, a lot of earthquakes that they're not telling the truth about. They're downplaying it. So for the people out there who live on the West Coast, you better be getting prepared if you're not prepared already. Owenhen explained that ethnic and economic minorities were most at risk in the areas predicted to be affected most by the rising seas and land problems. They explained that was the most surprising part of the study. We found that there is racial and economic inequality in those areas, and that there was an overrepresentation of historically marginalized groups potentially impacted, as well as properties with significantly lower value than the rest of the cities. The study found an alarming rate in which the sea is now rising. In the past 100 years, figures have shown a rise of around 1.7 millimeters per year. However, during the early years of the 21st century, it has jumped to 3.1 millimeters per year and is continuing to grow. Currently, the global mean rate of sea level rise is 3.7 millimeters per year. The researchers warned, even if climate change mitigation efforts succeed in stabilizing temperatures in the future decades, sea levels will continue to rise as a result of the continuing response of oceans to past warming. Study co-author Manu Kier Shirzai, I know I butchered that name, noted they hope to help give these U.S. coastal cities a map they would need to prevent the worst of the likely oncoming tragedies. Now in the first video, the last video that I just posted, I talked about there's a map that has been floating around the internet online that allegedly is from the Navy that shows how the U.S. is going to look after the sea levels have rose. Right, where they show much of the Pacific coast underwater, Nevada completely underwater, most of Arizona, all of the East Coast, Florida completely underwater, the Gulf of Mexico, right, and as well as in the middle, almost slicing the water, slicing the country in half. Right at the Mississippi River. That map has been going around for a while now online. Okay? So if you haven't seen that map, you don't know what I'm talking about, again, look it up. He said the whole purpose of this paper is to provide data to support decisions. Every city, every county has a flood resiliency plan in place. They are required by law to create that, but it's likely nobody has received the entire picture until this study, which creates probably the first comprehensive picture of what's happening in the not too distant future. And that's the end of that article. Okay? So, again, I just dropped a video talking about Florida, and I come across another one. So they're starting to put this information out. The map I'm talking about that allegedly came from the Navy, they try to say it wasn't real, but look at the information that's starting to come out now. You decide. You can decide for yourself. Those of you who's watching this video. All right. But again, this is part 2. I'm calling this part 2. The video I just dropped. This is King B keeping you informed. Be safe out there. Stay informed. Love yourself. Keep your loved ones close. Watch each other's backs. Be motivated. Be balanced. Till the next video. Peace.